unbeaten American heavyweight Richard Torrez Jr. stops Curtis Harper in the 6th round. Now, I've been keeping my eye on Richard Torrez since he turned professional. I obviously saw him in the amateurs. He fought in the Olympics. He fought Jalalov at least twice. The first time they fought, Torrez got knocked out horribly by a huge left hand from Jalalov. They rematched and it went the distance the second time, but Torrez still lost to Jalalov. And since turning pro, he's strung together some knockout wins over less than stellar opposition. No problem with that because he's very early on in his pro career. This fight against Curtis Harper extended him nearly the full 8 rounds. It was an 8-round bout, stopped him in the final round. Torrez reminds me, not just because of his hairstyle, but Ray Mancini back in the days, back in the 1980s. He had a haircut like Richard Torrez. And Richard Torrez appears to be someone, even though he wasn't born in the 1980s, he appears to be someone who's obsessed with the 80s. Is there a word for that? For someone who's really in love with the 1980s? I'm not sure. Maybe someone's going to blurt out the name Hatman, right? For someone who's obsessed with the 80s. Yeah, but I was raised in the 80s. This guy wasn't even born then, but yeah, he's obsessed with the 80s. Anyway, he's got the 80s haircut. He's got the 80s mustache, Magnum PI style, is a little reminiscent of Ray Mancini. Mancini would often swarm opponents and he would throw both hands, a two-fisted attack, and wouldn't be so careful about what was coming back at him in a lot of his fights. I mean, I remember when he fought Frias, I forget the guy's first name, but they had a wild 1-round fight, which you could watch on YouTube. And Richard Torrez reminds me of that version of Ray Mancini. Coming out swinging, letting both hands go, not really paying that much attention to what's coming back. He's fighting limited opposition in the likes of Curtis Harper at the moment, but you don't want to get into bad habits. And there's something a bit basic and predictable about Richard Torres's offense for me. Yeah, it's great that he can throw his hands and he's got some speed there and all that kind of thing. Fitness, great. But I'd like to see a little more subtlety in there. I'd like to see more feints. When he's letting his shots go and he's got a guy pinned, I'd like to see him use his feet to step off at the side, vary the combinations, vary the sequence of shots. Because when you just throw left, right, or in Torres's case, because he's a southpaw, right, left, it's predictable. The opponent knows what's coming. So they're able to cover up and block a lot of the stuff. Whereas if you throw a feint first, left hook to the body, then come with a right hook to the head, left uppercut followed by, if you just throw unusual punch sequences and feint in between letting your shots go, you'll find that you'll actually be able to land a lot cleaner and score more clean knockouts. And certainly as you move up in the level of opposition, you're going to need to do that kind of stuff to get more clean knockouts. It's not going to be a situation where you can just overpower everybody with your speed and brute force. It's not going to work like that. So I'd like to see a bit more subtlety in Richard Torres's game. I'm not trying to be overly critical here. At the end of the day, he's just a young prospect, 24 years of age. He's got all the time in the world. But I'm sure we all agree that in order to reach the upper echelons of the heavyweight division, he's going to need to improve and develop. And so part of that improvement and part of that development, I think, is to add a bit more subtlety to his offense, to be a bit more dynamic, to be a bit more creative and unpredictable with the punches that he throws and the combinations and so on. But he did what he did against Curtis Harper, managed to stop him in the 8th round. For those of you who don't remember or maybe didn't see, Curtis Harper was the guy who got out of the ring against F.A. Jagba. They disqualified him for that. In fact, if we have a look at Curtis Harper's BoxRec page here, his face really sums it up. Look at Curtis Harper's face here on his BoxRec page. This guy is a little off in the head. He's a little strange. And that certainly was evident when he, didn't fight F.A. Jagba. Got out the ring as soon as the bell went. Bizarre stuff. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about Richard Torrez Jr. What are your thoughts on his performance? Things that he could improve, things that you like, things that you don't like maybe about him. Let me know in the comment section below.